Welcome to the Children and Young People's Service. As part of your role, it is important that you have an awareness and understanding of child protection and your role within safeguarding. The following presentation gives a brief overview of the various types of abuse, as well as the signs and indicators that you will need to have an awareness for your role within safeguarding. In order to understand the child protection process, we need to understand the difference between what is family support, child in need, and what is child protection. Family support is about safeguarding and promoting the welfare of children through the provision of support and services. The aim is to provide support at an early stage to prevent escalation of a problem. Family support is based on the consent of the parent, acknowledging need and agreeing to support. This could include support with parenting responsibilities, managing challenging behaviour, and support with family dynamics. Child protection is when a child is suffering or likely to suffer significant harm. Cases of child protection nature can include physical, sexual, emotional abuse or neglect, or a combination of these. Where there is a family support referral, consent is mandatory. Where there are child protection concerns, consent for assessment should be sought where appropriate. However, taking action to protect the child is paramount, even where consent is not provided. In cases of child protection, you should always consult with your senior practitioner and team leader. Article 66 of the Children's Order gives social services the mandate to conduct a child protection investigation. It is the social worker's duty to make further inquiries to investigate and take action to safeguard and promote the child's welfare, where there is evidence or suspicion that a child has suffered significant harm. Deciding what constitutes significant harm demands careful application of professional judgment along with consideration of the available evidence, concerns and matters relating to the individual child or children and family. As a social worker involved in child protection, you will have a responsibility, therefore, to link in with key professionals involved with the family to determine the likelihood of significant harm. The diagram is helpful in determining the criteria that may constitute significant harm and help you in making this determination. It is the likelihood or actuality of significant harm which is the threshold that justifies compulsory intervention in family life. You should never deal with a child protection concern on your own. Link in with other professionals. Discuss the concerns with your line manager or team leader. You may also wish to discuss your concerns with Gateway. Where the threshold has been reached for significant harm, this requires engagement with the PSNI at earliest stage of the investigation so that a joint investigation, where appropriate and jointly agreed, can proceed. There are four main types of abuse: physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and neglect. Physical abuse is deliberately physically hurting a child. It may take a variety of different forms, including hitting, biting, pinching, shaking, throwing, poisoning, burning or scalding, drowning, or suffocating a child. Here are possible indicators of physical abuse. Please pause this video now and familiarize yourself with them. Remember to always keep an open mind. Be alert to the signs and symptoms of physical abuse, and in particular, you need to be concerned if the injuries are not consistent with the explanation given. Keep the focus on the child and do not allow your perceptions of the parents or carers to cloud your professional judgment. There is no stereotype as to who will abuse a child. The bruising and/or suspicious marks on pre-mobile babies. SBNI 2016 protocol provides guidance for health and social care professionals on the referral, assessment and management of babies who are not independently mobile and who present with bruising and/or suspicious marks, which cannot be explained by previous treatment and care provided by health professionals. It is rare and very unusual for a baby who is not mobile to sustain bruising. Bruising on a pre-mobile baby may be related to an underlying medical condition. It is important to consider the possibility that bruising may be due to a non-accidental injury. Emotional abuse is the persistent emotional maltreatment of a child. Emotional abuse may involve deliberately telling a child that they are worthless or unloved or inadequate. Emotional abuse may involve bullying, including online bullying by a child's peers. Where domestic violence, mental health issues and substance abuse issues are prevalent, the likelihood of children being exposed to emotional abuse or neglect can be increased. Emotional abuse may be the only form of abuse suffered, or it may be experienced alongside any of the other forms of abuse or neglect. The impact, however, is often severe, and it can leave deep and lasting scars on the young person. Here are possible indicators of emotional abuse. Please pause this video now and familiarise yourself with them. Neglect is the failure to provide for a child's basic needs, whether it be adequate food, clothing, hygiene, supervision or shelter that is likely to result in the serious impairment of a child's health or development. Children who are neglected often also suffer from other types of abuse. Neglect is one of the most prevalent forms of child abuse. Neglect can occur through intentional acts or unintentionally when a carer does not have the capacity or understanding to meet a child's needs. A child who experiences chronic neglect can suffer cumulative harm, including cognitive difficulties. Here are possible indicators of neglect. Please pause this video now and familiarise yourself with them. Sexual abuse occurs when others use and exploit children sexually for their own gratification or gain. Sexual abuse may involve both physical and non-physical contact. Non-contact activities include involving children in the production of sexual images, forcing children to look at sexual activities, encouraging children to behave in sexually inappropriate ways, or grooming a child in preparation for abuse, including via e-technology. Children can be encouraged to send inappropriate pictures of themselves and are then threatened and blackmailed to engage in more activities. They can often find themselves locked into the cycle of abuse. Sexual abuse is not solely perpetrated by adult males. Women can commit acts of sexual abuse, as can other children. If a child discloses sexual abuse to you, you need to refer this on immediately for investigation and safeguarding. Here are possible indicators of sexual abuse. Please pause this video now and familiarise yourself with them. Child sexual exploitation is sexual abuse. The only factor distinguishing it from other forms of sexual abuse is the concept of exchange. The child is usually coerced or manipulated into engaging in sexual activity in return for something they need or desire. This may be food or somewhere to stay, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes or money. Sometimes it is for intangible rewards such as perceived affection, protection or a sense of value or belonging. Often children who are sexually exploited do not realise they are being abused or exploited. Some may even believe they are in a relationship with the perpetrator. The victim may have been sexually exploited even if the sexual activity appears consensual. Child sexual exploitation does not always involve physical contact. It can also occur through the use of technology. As a result, young people will rarely report child sexual exploitation, so as professionals we need to be actively looking for it and reporting it. Child trafficking is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harbouring or receipt of a child or young person, whether by force or not, by a third person or group, for the purpose of different types of exploitation. This includes sexual exploitation, exploitive domestic servitude, enforced criminal activity or removal of organs. Domestic violence and abuse is defined as threatening, controlling, coercive behaviour, violence or abuse, psychological, virtual, physical, verbal, sexual, financial or emotional, inflicted on anyone, irrespective of age, ethnicity, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation or any form of disability, by a current or former intimate partner or family member. Domestic abuse is a serious and endemic problem. It can happen both to men and women. Remember, domestic abuse affects all members of the household. As such, we need to think about the safety of children within the family and ensure we intervene to promote their safety and well-being. UNO-CHINI is the format for all referrals into children's services. The UNO-CHINI process ensures a holistic approach to assessing children's needs, providing in-depth assessment and early identification of actions, interventions required to meet the child's needs across 3 domains: children's needs, parenting capacity, family and environmental factors. Research has indicated that working in an open and transparent way with both children and their families is the best way to achieve positive outcomes. Gaining consent is explicitly highlighted within the assessment process, so it is always best to seek agreement of children and their families where appropriate to do so. Where there is a family support referral, consent is mandatory. Where there are child protection concerns, consent for assessment should be sought where appropriate. However, taking action to protect the child is paramount, even where consent is not provided. For more information, please research the following links which can be found in the accompanying training Word document.